Leon Panetta is warning of a cyber Pearl Harbor, and he says that potentially a big hack attack could have the capability to paralyze the country right now. So he warned a Senate panel that America faces the potential for another Pearl Harbor. And he made the remarks when Lindsey Graham was questioning him. Let's just go to the audio and the video, Lewis, and hear exactly what Panetta's talking about.
You said something that just kind of went over everybody's head, I think, that there's a Pearl Harbor in the making here. You're talking about shutting down financial systems, releasing chemicals from chemical plants, releasing water from dams, shutting down power systems that could affect the very survival of the nation. What's the likelihood in the next 5 years that one of these major events will occur?
Well, all I can tell you...
Is it a high probability or a low probability?
All I can tell you is that technologically the capability to paralyze this country is there now.
Is there a growing will to use that capability by our enemies?
I think the more this technology develops, the more the will to potentially use it is going to take place.
Would you say there's a high probability that the capability and the will...
I think there's a high risk.
Okay.
All right. Putting aside the fact that Leon Panetta doesn't strike me as a guy who knows that much about the internet, right? Let's put that aside. And that's strictly a very prejudiced thing based on his appearance only. Let's put that aside.
He's right.
It's interesting. Well, he's right. It makes sense what he's saying, but it's interesting that several years ago, I interviewed Richard Clarke. Remember the author of that infamous 9/11 memo to Condoleezza Rice that was basically ignored?
Right.
And he actually wrote a book about the threat of a terrorist hacking incident that could shut down the electrical grid, the internet communications, financial services. We've actually been hearing this for a long time. Even though rationally none of us can say that it's not a possibility, we've been hearing about it for so many years now and it hasn't happened. Now, does that mean we should start ignoring it? No. But every time I hear the frantic warnings like we're hearing from Leon Panetta, I at least question really where he's getting this information or whether he feels like he needs to cover himself by saying this.
Well, I think he's right. But think about our most dangerous enemies at the moment.
Right.
Who are they, and are they using computers? No. They do not have the know-how or the technology to do what he is claiming might happen.
Well, I think you're talking about the ones that are stereotypically our biggest enemies, right, Natan? I mean, I think that there's a point here, which is that maybe the bigger enemies are the ones that we aren't as aware of in the media, but actually do have the capability to do some kind of a big-time cyber attack.
You're talking about terrorists?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think the worry here would also be domestic terrorists who have no legal issues in this country. They can actually physically infiltrate certain sectors and then from there launch an attack with the, inner know-how. I think that's also a bigger worry here.
Nuclear power plants, telecommunications industries, financial sector, et cetera.
Usually the domestic terrorists are acting alone or in very small groups. I mean, I think it's when you have, let's say, an entire government of another country working to do something like this that we really have to start worrying.
You know the other interesting thing about this? He talks about a cyber Pearl Harbor, but why didn't he say a cyber 9/11, right? Because we're talking about a terrorist attack, but for some reason he chose to say Pearl Harbor, which is not considered a terrorist attack. It's a wartime attack. It was part of World War II, albeit opening up a new front in World War II that maybe the U.S. wasn't anticipating. But it's strange not to be using the term cyber 9/11, far more recent, but also far more relevant because we are talking about terrorism. Do you think maybe the term 9/11 is off limits altogether to this administration? I'm trying to figure out why.
Maybe he's just trying to say that what this will spark is perhaps more reminiscent of what Pearl Harbor sparked.
Okay, maybe. I'm not really buying it.
But
the other thing is,
but then again, like you said, his age is a factor here. I mean,
yeah.
When people think about situations like this, if you're his age, you might just be more inclined to think about Pearl Harbor.
Even though it was 50 years prior. I mean, I don't know.